Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wassalatu wassalamu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Welcome once again to our lesson of Surah Baqarah from verse number 234. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والذين يتوفون منكم ويذرون أزواجا يتربصن بأنفسهن 4 أشهر وعشرا فإذا بلغن أجلهن فلا جناح عليكم فيما فعلن في أنفسهن بالمعروف والله بما تعملون خبير. If any of you die and leave widows behind, they shall wait concerning themselves 4 months and 10 days. When they have fulfilled their term, there is no blame on you if they dispose of themselves in a just and reasonable manner, and Allah is well acquainted with what you do. We have already covered the ayat about the divorce, the revocable divorce, which is at-talaq al-raj'i, and 3 divorces which are at-talaq al-ba'in, and then we have spoken about the suckling of the babes and what is required of it. And after that comes this question of al-idda of widows. That is the ayah number 234. So here it says very clearly that those persons who die among you and they leave behind them widows, so they have to stay, they have to watch themselves for 4 months and 10 days, which is known as Idda period, or the waiting period after the death. And once they complete this term of 4 months and 10 days, then there is nothing wrong if they want to remarry, for example. This is what it meant by the saying of Allah, فَلَا جُنَاحَ عَلَيْكُمْ فِي مَا فَعَلْنَ فِي أَنفُسِهِنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ. Because they are free from the bond of the marriage and the right of the man after his death. And after that period, they are free to remarry if they want to do that. So that is the meaning or the very brief meaning of this ayah. Let us go into detail. وَالَّذِينَ يُتَوَفَّوْنَ مِنْكُمْ. So the first word which is used here for death, that is tawaffa. And the word tawaffa actually in Arabic it means to take something completely. So this is why it is used for taking back your loan from someone. When he returns the loan, you can say istawfaytu or tawaffaytu ad-dayn. I have taken this loan completely. So because of the context, we have to determine what is the meaning. So the actual meaning is to take someone's right completely, and then it is also used for sleep, and then it is also used for death. Even the actual meaning is found in death itself, because once a person dies, as if he has taken completely his right, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala destined for him of the life. So his term of life has come to an end, which he has exhausted. So in this way, the word tawaffa is also there in its meaning of death. And why did we say that? We have to see the context, because when it was used about Sayyidina al-Masih alayhi salam, when Allah SWT said about him, Inni mutawaffika wa rafi'uka ilayya wa mutahhiruka min alladhina kafaru wa ja'ilu alladhina ittaba'uka fawqa alladhina kafaru ila yawm al-qiyamah, in Surah Al-Imran, Inni mutawaffika. And Quran has very clearly said that وَمَا قَتَلُوهُ وَمَا صَلَبُوهُ وَلَكِنْ شُبِّهَ لَهُمْ, that he was not killed by anyone, he was not crucified. And then in Surah An-Nisa, بَلْ رَفَعَهُ اللَّهُ إِلَيْهِ, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has lifted him towards him. So this is why there the first meaning is taken, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taken, Inni mutawaffika, I am going to take you as a whole. It means not just your soul, no, soul and body. I am going to take it towards me, and lifting it towards me, rafi'uka ilayya. And in the context of of sleep, for example, the ayah of Surah Zumar, Allahu yatawaffa al-anfusa hina mawtiha wallati lam tamut fi manamiha wa yumsiku allati qada alayha al-mawt wa yursilu al-ukhra. So here it is very clear that the word here means Allahu yatawaffa al-anfusa. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes the souls at the time of their death and at the time of their sleep. So the person whose life has come to an end, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala retains his soul with him. And the one who is not meant to die, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala returns his soul back to his body. So the word in the beginning, Allahu yatawaffa al-anfusa hina mawtiha wallati lam tamut fi manamiha. So it covers both situations. The person who is meant to die at that moment and the person who is not meant to die but is still in sleep. So the word is covering both of them. And here it is very clear that it speaks about the death, because it says that they leave behind them their wives. So وَالَّذِينَ يُتَوَفَّوْنَ مِنْكُمْ, those people who die among you. So the word tawaffa, it is interesting to hear the story of Sayyidina Ali, that Sayyidina Ali was in a janaza when someone said, Manil mutawaffi, Manil mutawaffi. So Sayyidina Ali said, Allah. And he became very surprised. He said, your question is, Manil mutawaffi, who is the one who has taken completely the soul? Of course, that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you are supposed to say, Manil mutawaffa, who is the one whose soul is taken? And that is object form. And the first form, mutawaffi, is subject form. So in subject form, it means Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who did this wafat, and who has taken this person. So al-mutawaffi is Allah, and the person whose soul has been taken, that is mutawaffa. So this is the difference between the two words. But now, especially in non-Arabic culture, the word mutawaffi is normally used for the person who has died. But it is wrong. It is wrong, as I have explained to you. وَالَّذِينَ يُتَوَفَّوْنَ مِنْكُمْ وَيَذَرُونَ أَزْوَاجًا. So these women are going to يَتَرَبَّصْنَ. They wait concerning themselves أَرْبَعَةَ أَشْهُرٍ وَعَشَرًا. 4 months and 10 days. 4 months and 10 days. So this is around 130 days. So why 130 days? According to the hadith of Ibn Mas'ud, there are 3 stages of the creation of a human being. As he said in this hadith, Inna khalqa ahadikum yujma'u fi batni ummihi 40 yawman nutfatan. The creation of one of you is in this way, that it is collected in the womb of his mother for 40 days as nutfa, as sperm. ثم يكون علقة مثل ذلك. And then he becomes alaqa, which is a clot of blood for a similar period of 40 days. ثم يكون مضغة. And then he becomes a morsel of flesh for a similar period. ثم يبعث إليه الملك فتنفخ فيه الروح. And then an angel is sent to this, what is in the womb, and then the soul is breathed into it by the angel. So these are the 120 days. These are 120 days which are for the 3 periods of creation. Now, in the case of a widow, if she has conceived before the death of her husband and became pregnant, it should be established that whether she is a pregnant woman or not. That is very, very important to establish whether she is pregnant or not. So in this case, in 120 days, the soul has been breathed into the embryo. So it means that the woman is going to feel about the movement of that embryo in her womb. So 10 days are added to it. So there may be no ambiguity left at all. Someone could say that why the idda of a divorcee is just around 3 months or 3 cycles of a woman. So which is around 3 months time. And the idda of a widow is more than that. And it becomes 3 months or around 120 days. And in the case of a widow, it becomes 130 days. So the answer to that is that even if a divorcee becomes pregnant and she wanted to conceal the pregnancy, and she does not want to let anybody know that she is pregnant, because she knows that in case of pregnancy, her idda period would be prolonged. وَوُلَاةُ الْأَحْمَالِ أَجَلُهُنَّ أَنْ يَضَعْنَ حَمْلَهُنَّ in Surah Talaq. And the pregnant woman, their idda is until they deliver the babe. So in this case, if she wanted to conceal that she is pregnant, how far she can conceal? Because the person who divorced her is still alive. He can challenge her. Later, when he finds out that the woman has given birth to a child, he can challenge her, he can challenge her family, and he could say that this child is mine. So there would be someone to challenge her. But in the case of a widow, the man has already died. So there is no one to challenge her. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has increased 10 more days after the soul has been breathed into the embryo, for this reason, that there should be no ambiguity left after 120 days whether she is pregnant or not. Because if she is pregnant, then she is going to feel the movement of the child very, very clearly. That is one thing. And the second thing is, that is about the ruling during this period. As far as the woman is concerned, the ruling that she has to wait for 4 months and 10 days But in the case of pregnancy, she has to wait until she delivers the baby. And from the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, we come to know that she should remain in a state of ihdad. Ihdad means to show grief upon the person, upon the husband. And this grief is exemplified in few things: not to beautify herself, not to use kuhl in her eyes, not to use henna on her hands, not to wear the jewelry, anything, all those things which are associated with attraction. So that that woman is not to be found attractive to those people or to any person who wants to marry her. Once the idda is over, then of course she is allowed to beautify herself in a manner which is allowed in Sharia. Why? Because now she is open for all such persons who are interested to marry her. So that is the iddah of a woman who is not pregnant, 4 months and 10 days. And as we said that according to Surah Al-Talaq, وَأُولَاتُ الْأَحْمَالِ أَجَلُهُنَّ أَنْ يَضَعْنَ حَمْلَهُنَّ. The pregnant woman, as soon as they deliver the babe, their iddah comes to an end. It can happen both ways, that the woman has conceived any time before the death of that person. So it means that her iddah is going to be very long, for about 9 months. And it is also possible that she might have conceived 8 months, 8.5 months before the deaths. So it means that just after the deaths, as soon as her pregnancy comes to an end, maybe within a day, within a week, within a limited time, 10 days or 20 days, then her iddah comes to an end. And that is the best opinion. Though there is a saying of Abdullah ibn Abbas that such a woman who is pregnant, if her iddah comes to an end before 4 months and 10 days, then still she has to wait for the longer period of iddah, which is in this case 4 months and 10 days. And if her iddah is prolonged for 9 months, for example, then she has to wait for the longer period. But this hadith, which is the hadith of Subai'a al-Aslamiyah, that is very clear. Her husband, who is known to be Sa'd ibn Khawlah, who was visited by the Prophet ﷺ in the year of his Hajj, and that was his first and last Hajj of the Prophet ﷺ. And it is said in the hadith that he came to visit Sa'd ibn Khawlah, and he came to visit him when he was still alive, but later he died. That is his wife, Subai'a al-Aslamiyah. She has given birth to his child just 15 days or 2 weeks after his death. And she knew that as long as she has delivered the babe, her iddah has come to an end. So she started beautifying herself only to expect those people who are interested in her to come for engagement. Among the Sahaba, there is a man called Abu Sanabil. He came to her and he said to her, he said, quite amazing that your husband has just died and you are now exposing yourself or presenting yourself to those people who are interested in you for nikah. as if he rebuked her. Why did you do so? So she came to the Prophet ﷺ, and then he explained whatever happened to her, whatever was said to her. So Prophet ﷺ said that as long as you have given birth to the child, now you are free. You are free to do what you want. You are free if you want to marry. So this means that this hadith of Subaya al-Aslamiyya, that is a decisive hadith in this matter, that the iddah of a pregnant woman is different from the iddah of a non-pregnant woman. Once again, we would say that after this iddah has come to an end, فَإِذَا بَلَغْنَا أَجَلَهُنَّ فَلَا جُنَاحَ عَلَيْكُمْ فِي مَا فَعَلْنَ فِي أَنفُسِهِنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَاللَّهُ بِمَا تَعْمَلُونَ خَبِيرٌ. They are free to do whatever they like about themselves in a reasonable manner. Al-Ma'ruf, yani a matter, the matter which is known to the people and it is not denied by them. Because Al-Ma'ruf, the opposite is Al-Munkar. Al-Munkar, anything which seems to be alien to the society, and people would say, oh, what she is doing, that is wrong. Wallahu bima ta'maluna khabir, and Allah knows whatever you do. Now there is another issue which is related to the same woman, and that is during the idda period, what are the restrictions laid upon her? What are the permissions which are given to her? So this is in verse number 235. وَلَا جُنَاحَ عَلَيْكُمْ فِيمَا عَرَّضْتُمْ بِهِ مِنْ خِطْبَةِ النِّسَاءِ أَوْ أَكْنَنْتُمْ فِي أَنفُسِكُمْ. There is no blame on you if you make an offer of betrothal or hold it in your hearts. عَلِمَ اللَّهُ أَنَّكُمْ سَتَذْكُرُونَهُنَّ وَلَكِنْ لَا تُوَاعِدُوهُنَّ سِرًّا إِلَّا أَن تَقُولُوا قَوْلًا مَعْرُوفًا. Allah knows that you cherish them in your hearts, but do not make a secret contract with them except in terms honorable, nor resolve on the tie of marriage till the term prescribed is fulfilled. And that is the meaning of the next part of the ayah. وَلَا تَعْظِمُوا عُقْدَةَ النِّكَاحِ حَتَّى يَبْلُغَ الْكِتَابُ أَجَلَهُ. Nor resolve on the tie of marriage till the term prescribed is fulfilled. وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ يَعْلَمُ مَا فِي أَنفُسِكُمْ فَاحْذَرُوهُ وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ غَفُورٌ حَلِيمٌ. And know that Allah knows what is in your hearts, and take heed of Him. And know that Allah is oft forgiving, most forbearing. So what is the issue here? وَلَا جُنَاحَ عَلَيْكُمْ فِيمَا عَرَّضْتُمْ بِهِ مِنْ خِطْبَةِ النِّسَاءِ. Now this is addressed to those people who are interested in marrying this woman who is during her idda period. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling them that there is nothing wrong upon you. فِيمَا عَرَّضْتُمْ بِهِ مِنْ خِطْبَةِ النِّسَاءِ أَوْ أَكْنَنْتُمْ فِي أَنفُسِكُمْ. He mentioned two things where there is no wrong upon you if you do that. The first is ta'reeb. Ta'reeb in Arabic, which means to say something by allusion or insinuation. Not to say explicitly to a woman who is in her idda period that I want to marry you once you come to the end of your idda period, I am there to marry you. That is a very explicit proposal. That is not allowed. What is allowed is ta'reeb. So ta'reeb is that he says to the woman, you seem to be very, you seem to be very attractive, or once you finish your idda, don't forget me. Similar words which are not very explicit, and they are known as ta'reeb. Ta'reeb min khitbatin nisa'i, which are related to engaging with the woman. أو أكننتم في أنفسكم. Somebody would say, oh, what about if I got a feeling in my heart that I want to marry this woman? Even that is not allowed. The answer is no, that is allowed. أو أكننتم في أنفسكم. Or if there is any hope or any type of you're willing to marry such a woman, and it is still in your heart, then of course that is allowed. علم الله أنكم ستذكرونهن. Allah knows that you are going to remember them. So you are allowed. ولكن لا تواعدوهن سرا إلا أن تقولوا قولا معروفا. So beware of one thing. لا تواعدوهن سرا. Don't make any promise secretly. So because the word here is تواعدوهن, which is coming from wa'ada, which is bab mufa'ala, and in bab mufa'ala, things comes from both sides. Like qatala. So the word qatala, there must be two parties fighting each other. So in the same way, wa'ada, a promise from the man that I am going to marry you, and a promise from the woman, yes, I am going to fulfill this demand. That is called mu'a'ada, and it is prohibited. وَلَكِنْ لَا تُوَاعِدُوهُنَّ سِرًّا. Don't do any type of promise secretly. What is allowed is only one thing which is already said, that is ta'reez. إِلَّا أَن تَقُولُوا قَوْلًا مَعْرُوفًا. Except if you say something which is known to you. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already explained that by way of allusion or insinuation, you can convey to the woman your wish, you're willing to marry her. Then comes the other part of the whole procedure. وَلَا تَعْزِمُوا عُقْدَةَ النِّكَاحِ حَتَّى يَبْلُغَ الْكِتَابُ أَجَلَهُ. Don't resolve on the tie of marriage till the term prescribed is fulfilled. وَلَا تَعْزِمُوا عُقْدَةَ النِّكَاحِ حَتَّى يَبْلُغَ الْكِتَابُ أَجَلَهُ. So first thing which is prohibited is even to say the words of engagement, let alone to marry a woman who is still in her idda period. This is called uqdatul nikah. وَلَا تَعْزِمُوا عُقْدَةَ النِّكَاحِ. Don't resolve the tie of the marriage, the tie of nikah, حَتَّى يَبْلُغَ الْكِتَابُ أَجَلَهُ, until the idda period or the term which has been mentioned here comes to an end. There is this case of Fatima bint Qais. Fatima bint Qais, first we have mentioned this woman, that there was one issue which was related to her. She has received the third and final divorce from her husband, and then she has to spend the idda period in her house, which was in the wilderness, away from the town. So this is why she asked the Prophet ﷺ if she can move from her house to somewhere in the city. So the Prophet ﷺ allowed her to complete her idda in the house of Abdullah ibn Maktoum, who was related to her, and he was a blind person. And then the Prophet said to her one thing else. He said to her, "Iza halalti fa'azinini." When you become halal, means you come out of your idda period, then let me know about that. So after this idda period has come to an end, she came to the Prophet ﷺ and told him that the idda has been completed. And then she also said that she got proposal from three persons. One is Abu Jahm, one is Muawiyah, and one Usama ibn Zayd. So the Prophet ﷺ was consulted by her. And if you are consulted by a person, you should be Amin. You should be trustworthy. It is a very serious matter that she wants to marry someone and she is asking you about your views about all these three persons. So the Prophet ﷺ said about Abu Jahm, "Amma Abu Jahmin fala yada'u al-asa an atiqihi." Abu Jahm, he does not remove his stick from his shoulder. Now this wording, what does it mean? It might be explained in two ways. The one is that he got the stick always in his hand. It means that he is known with beating, and that is not a good character. And the second is that because he travels a lot, all the time the stick is in his hand because he is ready to travel. Stick, which is asa. So what the Prophet meant that what benefit you are going to do to get from this man? He is either traveling, if we take the second meaning, or he is known to be a person beating his woman, and that is not good for you. And he said about Sayyidina Muawiyah, "Amma Muawiyah فَالصُّعْلُوكٌ لَا مَالَ لَهُ." As for Muawiyah, he is a pauper, a poor person. He got no money at all. And of course, the women, they would like someone who can spend upon them, who would be generous to them, not a pauper or a poor person or a beggar. And then the Prophet said, "Alayki bi Zayd, alayki bi Usama ibn Zayd." Marry Usama ibn Zayd. And she accepted, of course, what the Prophet ﷺ said, and she was happy with that marriage, with that proposal. وَلَا تَعْزِمُوا عُقْدَةَ النِّكَاحِ حَتَّى يَبْلُغَ الْكِتَابُ أَجَلَهُ. Don't marry a woman because uqdatun nikah, that is a tie. It's known, see, the expression which is given in the Qur'an for the marriage, that it is a bond, which is called uqdatul nikah. When you tie a thread, that is called uqdah. Don't do it until the idda comes to an end. Now the question is that if a person has done so, if a woman has married in her idda period, is this marriage valid? Of course it is not valid. What we are going to do, I mean the people in the society, in the community, the awliya, or if there is a system of qada, a qadi, they have to separate such a person from this woman until she completes the idda period. After that, can this person marry her? There is a judgment which is given by Sayyidina Umar. Sayyidina Umar used to separate such a couple as long as they have not consummated. If they have not consummated, then of course, after the term has come to an end, idda is completed, then this person becomes one of those people who are interested in this marriage and to marry her. He becomes one of those people who are trying to engage to her. That is in case the marriage is not consummated. But if the marriage is consummated, which is known in Arabic as a dukhul, dukhul has happened, the marriage has been consummated. In this case, Sayyidina Umar's ruling was very, very strict. He said that this woman is going to complete her idda from the first husband, and once 4 months and 10 days have come to an end, then he is going to complete her second idda from the second husband. Of course, that would be around 3 months' time. And then he is not allowed to marry her at all. That was the case. That was the judgment of Sayyidina Umar. And this what Sayyidina Umar has done in the case of a certain person known as Ruwayshid al-Thaqafi. And the woman's name was Tulayha al-Asadiyya. He married her during the Idda period of this woman from her husband who died. The dower amount which was paid to her by the second husband, Sayyidina Umar took it and placed it in Baytul Mal. And as a punishment, this dower amount was not given to that woman. Here comes the role of Sayyidina Ali. Sayyidina Ali, of course, he was very well versed in these type of questions. He said, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, what is the issue here with her dower amount to be placed in Baitul Mal? There is no need for that. The only thing is we can say that these two persons, they were jahil. They did not know the actual issue or the actual way to handle this situation. So your duty is to return them to Sunnah. Tell them that what is the Sunnah way and then do according to it. But Sayyidina Ali actually is saying that if an action is done out of jahala, out of ignorance, then you must not be strict in such a position. But tell them what is Sunnah and let them ask forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is a very fine principle because we see in our present circumstances in the West, where you will find many new Muslims who do not know about the institution of talaq and how to give talaq. Is it to do it in this way, to say it 3 times, talaq, 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 whenever they want to do talaq to their wives, or they have to say it once? And we have seen so many cases where you will find a person is divorcing his wife, not once or twice or thrice, maybe 4 times, 5 times, because the poor person, he did not know what is the actual procedure of talaq in Islam. There is not one case, many cases which I have myself, I have dealt with them, all based upon their ignorance. So you can say that you have to give the benefit of doubt to such people and try to solve their issues in a lighter way, not in a strict way, based upon the ruling of Sayyidina Ali. Now coming back to the ayah, once again, وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ يَعْلَمُ مَا فِي أَنفُسِكُمْ فَاحْذَرُوهُ وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ غَفُورٌ حَلِيمٌ. Know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what is in your nafs, whatever you conceal in your nafs. فَاحْذَرُوهُ. So take heed of that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows everything. You can't deceive Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ غَفُورٌ حَلِيمٌ. Anyhow, you should know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is forgiving and is most forbearing. So Allah knows the situation in which you had been And whatever has happened to you, whatever you uttered, whatever words you have used, in which sense they have been used, whether there was a resolution of your heart behind them, or it was just a passing thought, was it a ta'rib, or was it a clear word? That is all what is meant by the end of this ayah. Now we move to the next ayah, which speaks about a gift which is to be given to the divorcees. How much should it be given, and what is the ruling about that? This is the subject matter of verse number 236. لا جناح عليكم إن طلقتم النساء ما لم تمسوهن أو تفرضوا لهن فريضة. There is no blame on you if you divorce women before consummation or the fixation of their dower, but bestow on them a suitable gift. ومتعوهن على الموسع قدره وعلى المقتر قدره متاعا بالمعروف حقا على المحسنين. A suitable gift, the wealthy according to his means and the poor according to his means. A gift of a reasonable amount is due from those who wish to do the right thing. First, the very explicit meaning of this ayah is لا جناح عليكم إن طلقتم النساء ما لم تمسوهن وتفرضوا لهن فريضة. And there is nothing wrong if you divorce your wives even before you touch them, or even before you fix for them a dower amount. All right. In this case, وَمَتِّعُوهُنَّ, give them a suitable gift. That is Muta'a. Muta'a, the word Muta'a, which is enjoyment, which is Mata'. Mata', anything which is good for you to enjoy, to use, that is Mata'. وَمَتِّعُوهُنَّ. And this Muta'a is in accordance with your abilities. A rich person according to his means, a poor person according to his means. Mata'an bil ma'ruf. So this should be a mata', a gift bil ma'ruf, in a known way in the society. Haqqan al muhsinin. And this is a haqq. This is a right upon those people who want to do ihsan, who are doing good. Now here the first thing is, what does it mean, malam tamassuhunna? There is nothing wrong upon you if you divorce your wives, malam tamassuhunna, as long as you did not touch them. What means to touch them? And this word is also used in Surah Al-Ahzab, ayah number 49. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu إذا نكحتم المؤمنات ثم طلقتموهن من قبل أن تمسوهن فما لكم عليهن من عدة تعتدونها ومتعوهن وسرحوهن سراحا جميلا. Believers, when you marry believing women, then you divorce them even before touching them. فما لكم عليهن من عدة تعتدونها. So you got no right upon them to go into the waiting period, the Idda period. So there is no Idda for such a woman who has not been touched. فَمَتِّعُوهُنَّ وَصَرِّحُوهُنَّ صَرَاحًا جَمِيلًا. But give them a Muta'a, which is we already translated as a suitable gift. وَسَرِّحُهُنَّ صَرَاحًا جَمِيلًا, and let them go in a beautiful way. Let them separate in a beautiful manner. So here it becomes very clear that the word tamassuhunna, it means consummation of the marriage. Because the consummation of the marriage, which we have already said in Arabic, it is known as the dukhul. Once the marriage has been consummated, then comes this question that this woman, whether she has conceived or not. So if she has been divorced, Idda follows. And during the Idda period, it is going to appear whether she was pregnant or not, whether she conceived or not. So this idea of conception is going to be determined once the woman goes into the Idda period. And during Idda period, she is not allowed to remarry at all. And we know that in the case of one divorce or two divorce, the man is allowed to take her back. This is why the first divorce or the second divorce is known as talaq raj'i, revocable divorce. So nobody should even think about marrying this woman, because this is talaq raj'i. Only in the matter of talaq ba'in, it means that a person has already divorced a woman twice, took her back. Now he is divorcing her a third time. That becomes talaq ba'in mughallas, means that he can't take her back, not even remarry her. So in this case, maybe any person who is interested to marry her, he could think about it. So this ayah is saying very clearly of Surah Al-Ahzab that if such a woman who is not touched, means the marriage is not consummated, then there is no idda for such a woman. And that is the opinion of Imam al-Shafi'i as well. They have been together, yes, they have been together, they have been very close to each other, but the marriage was not consummated. So there is no point of idda at all. Unlike the opinion of Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam Malik rahmatullahi alayhima, they say that no, such a woman has to go through idda as well, as long as they were together. They were together in such a situation that they were alone, together in a room. Curtains have been drawn. So it means that there was proper khalwa. Privacy is given to them. So as long as privacy is given to them, they were very close to each other. Though the marriage is not consummated, but this type of khalwa you can't have with any other woman. So it means that you have enjoyed in a different form or in a lesser form. So this woman deserves to receive the dower amount. And we know that as far as dower amount is concerned, and there is this ruling that if the marriage has been consummated, complete dower amount is due to her. If the marriage is not consummated, half of the dower amount is due to her. In this issue of mas consummation, that is the difference between the two opinions. So according to Imam Malik and Imam Hanifa rahmatullahi alayhima, even getting a privacy or khalwa is enough to ask a woman to go into idda if she has been divorced, and the dower amount would be treated accordingly. Now let us come to the second part. Give them a mut'a or a gift, which is according to the financial abilities of the person. It is known that Sayyidina al-Hasan ibn Ali, who is known to have many marriages, and this is why he was given this title, Mizwajun Mitlaqun. Mizwajun, a person with lot of marriages. Mitlaqun, a person with lot of talaq. And why he was marrying a lot and then divorcing, there is a reason behind it, that those women who wanted to marry him only for one reason, Al-Hasan ibn Ali from Ahlul Bayt, from the house of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the son of Sayyidina Fatima radiallahu ta'ala anha. So the women, they used to think that once we are attributed to the name of Al-Hasan, that would be a great honor for them. People would say, oh, that was a wife of Al-Hasan. So to get this honor, they were interested in marrying her, in marrying him, and even if they are divorced within days, they did not mind. So Sayyidina Al-Hasan used to give them a good amount of Muta'a, in each and every talaq. So the Muta'a is according to the financial abilities of the person. They say the highest form of Muta'a is to offer her a servant, or to offer him a lot of gold or silver, or less than that, give her just a suit. Sayyidina Hasan Ali, as I said, he normally used to give 10,000, which is either dinar or dirham, is a good amount. وَمَتِّعُوهُنَّ عَلَى الْمُوسِعِ قَدَرُهُ وَعَلَى الْمُقْتِرِ قَدَرُهُ مَتَاعًا بِالْمَعْرُوفِ حَقًّا عَلَى الْمُحْسِنِينَ. So as far as the word mas is concerned, I think the best meaning of mas is the actual consummation of the marriage. That is supported by the other ayat of Al-Qur'an in the case of Sayyidina Maryam alayhi salam, when she was visited by Angel Jibreel. And he said that I want to, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted you to give a child. So what was the answer of Sayyidina Maryam? قالت أَنَّا يَكُونُ لِي غُلَامٌ وَلَمْ يَمْسَسْنِي بَشَرٌ وَلَمْ أَكُ بَغِيًّا. From where I am going to get a child? وَلَمْ يَمْسَسْنِي بَشَرٌ. No human being has touched me. وَلَمْ أَكُ بَغِيًّا. And I was not a prostitute. So the word mas is used here, attributed to Sayyidina Maryam, that as long as nobody has touched me, which means that there has been no consummation of marriage with me. So how could I have a child? Another issue is that this type of mut'a, is it for a certain type of woman or for every woman who is divorced? Here we find 4 opinions. Three opinions are about wujub, that it is wajib. It is wajib for such a woman, for such a woman, for such a woman. And the 4th one is it is recommended. Now let us take these 4 opinions. The first opinion is that it is wajib for each divorcee, whether she has been, whether the marriage has been consummated or not, whether a double amount is fixed for her or not. And they take it from this ayah, which we are going to read later, ayah number 241. وَلِلْمُطَلَّقَاتِ مَتَاعٌ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ حَقًّا عَلَى الْمُتَّقِينَ. For divorced women, provisions should be made on a reasonable scale. This is a duty on the righteous. So this word mata', mut'a, is used in this verse, which is going to be read later, inshallah. And we also see that in the case of Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, as narrated in Surah Al-Ahzab. Once the wives of the Prophet ﷺ, who asked for good amount of maintenance, so the Prophet ﷺ gave them a choice. And this choice is given in this ayah, Ya ayyuhan nabiyyu qul li azwajika in kuntunna turidna al-hayata ad-dunya wa zinataha fata'alayna umatti'kunna wa usarrihkunna sarahan jamila. O Prophet, say to your wives, if you want this worldly life and its glamour, fata'alayna umatti'kunna, come, let me give you muta'a, some gift of enjoyment. وَأُصَرِّحْكُنَّ صَرَاحًا جَمِيلًا, and I separate you from you in a very good manner. And of course, the wives of the Prophet ﷺ, they were those with whom the marriage was consummated. So it means there is no question that it is wajib for each mutallaqa. The second opinion is we have to differentiate as far as mas is concerned. If the woman has not been consummated with, the marriage is not consummated, then she should be given this muta'a. So we can say that the ayah which we have read of Surah Al-Ahzab, O believer, when you marry women and then you divorce them, min qabli an tamassuhunna, before you touch them, فَمَا لَكُمْ عَلَيْهِنَّ مِنْ عِدَّةٍ تَعْتَدُّونَهَا, then it is no right of you to ask them for idda. They are not going to pass this idda. فَمَتِّعُوهُنَّ, so give them this gift. وَسَرِّحُوهُنَّ صَرَاحًا جَمِيلًا. So here this ayah does not say about the dower amount, whether it was given to them or not given to them. It only speaks about mas. So it means that even if the marriage is not consummated, the mut'a should be given. It does not matter whether they were given a dower amount, full or half, it does not matter. The third opinion is, yes, it is wajib. Only in such a case where a woman got no dower amount at all, no dower amount was fixed for her, and then the marriage was not consummated. So the poor lady got nothing. No dower amount was fixed for her. Even there was no consummation of marriage. Then at least she should have some compensation, and that compensation is this mut'a. So we can say that such a woman whose marriage is not consummated, if there is a dower amount fixed for her, then of course she is going to receive half of the dower amount because the marriage was not consummated. So she got something. So it means that the woman who got no dower amount, because no dower amount was fixed for her, for such a woman, there is only mahrul misl. Mahrul misl means a mahar or a dower amount of woman of her status. So you can give her this mut'a according to mahrul misl, and that is the mut'a which is here commanded in this ayah. So these are the three opinions based upon wujub, that it is wajib for such and such woman. The fourth opinion is innaha mustahabba. It is recommended for each and every divorce. It is recommended. The difference between the two opinions is that if we say it is wajib and then a person did not give it, then of course he is liable for a judgment by the qadi. He could be fined, he could be imprisoned. But if we say it is recommended, then of course he is not liable for any litigation at all. as Imam Sha'bi, who is a great tabi'i, Amir al-Sha'bi, he said, I did not see any person imprisoned because of not paying this muta'a. And then he said, Wallahi law kanat wajibatan la habasa fiha al-qada. If it was wajib, then the judgment should have imprisoned such a person who did not pay al-muta'a. So that was the issue of al-muta'a, means which is a gift, a reasonable gift. And here it says haqqan al-muhsinin. It is a right for those people who want to do right things. And we have to come to end of today's lesson here. وصلى الله تعالى على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.